Since the Surfside condo collapse in June, the CBS-12 News I-team has been following efforts aimed at protecting people living in high-rises. Already, cities like Boca, Raton, they've enacted strict new inspections, and other cities are also working on their own safety measures. Those changes, however, have led to lots of fights and heated discussions over who's going to pay for all of that. Tonight, our I-team chief investigator, Mike Magnoli, tells us residents on fixed or limited incomes are terrified that they may lose their homes over this issue.
Now, we all want a beautiful place in which to live, but we need to prioritize. And what Surfside taught us is engineering and repairs first, aesthetics second.
Fred Hadley lives in Sentry Village, west of Boca Raton. 13 years ago, when he moved in, he was charmed by community living. The pools, the tennis courts, and he still loves those amenities. But right now he's mad, because he says condo management is not preparing for the detailed safety inspections and the likely mandatory repairs, which are certainly coming in the wake of the tragedy in Surfside. For instance, Fred points to these flower beds in front of his building on Cornwall Drive. Beautiful, he admits, but they cost thousands of dollars a year to keep up. So last month, he suggested to management that the condo board use the flower money to hire an expert to assess whether their cash reserves are sufficient.
And it was shot down. The president of our association turned to the community association manager and said, do we need to do this? How are our reserves? And the community association manager, who is not a licensed reserve specialist, said the reserve funds inside Sentry Village are in fine shape. And he's not qualified to make that determination.
Fred knows Palm Beach County officials are in talks to require reinspection every 10 years for buildings built before 1982, like many in Sentry Village. If inspectors find problems that need to be fixed right away, that means money in a hurry.
The people at Champlain Towers in Surfside were hit with a $38,000 per unit special assessment, which is a serious impact even for people living in a ritzy oceanfront property. It would certainly be a disaster here.
And that $38,000 was just the tip of the iceberg. A bill like that indeed would be a disaster for folks like Joan Johnson.
And what amount are they going to assess you for?
Joan lives here in one of the other 5,700 units in Sentry Village. Many residents, like Joan, are retired, and they have to be careful with their finances. A special assessment could easily climb into the thousands. If it does, Joan says she'd have to leave the condo that she's called home for 13 years.
Well, I guess I'll be moving. I mean, that's a lot of money.
Joan pays about $600 a month in condo fees. Now, some of that goes to the recreational facilities and some to building maintenance. After Surfside, Joan says she wants to know exactly what is going where. And she says for a few months, the recreational budget could go onto the back burner.
Only to fix what is absolutely necessary. I mean, these buildings are 40-some-odd years old.
Within Sentry Village, there are 16 separate associations, all of them acting independently. Why so many? That's because there's more than 100 buildings in the community. Fred and Joan's association is not doing a reserve study, but some are, and some associations might put out a special assessment, some might not.
People will say, well, if they're doing it, why aren't we? The A word, assessment, is always traditionally a dirty word in condo or co-ops, because it seems to point to poor planning or sweeping things under the rug or putting off to tomorrow what you should have done today.
The good news is Sentry Village isn't anywhere near the ocean, so the buildings here likely won't have the same degree of corrosion as the condo tower in Surfside. But that doesn't mean there won't be problems that need fixing after 40-plus years.
The immediate evacuation of a condominium has been ordered.
Last month in Miami, an 8-story building was deemed unsafe and had to be evacuated. Here it is on the map, near the Miami airport. This is miles from the ocean.
165 units, and they're trying to figure out where these people are going to go.
Well, in general, we were all concerned about the aging of the buildings, but of course, what happened with Champlain Towers South brought everything into immediate, spotlight.
Fred tells the I-Team some associations in Sentry Village have ordered field survey reports, the same kind of detailed engineering inspection that Champlain Tower South had done in 2018. Management in that doomed building thought they had more time. They put off the recommended repairs in that report. But Fred says that kind of information, by itself, is only one piece of the puzzle.
We don't know if we have those kind of funds unless we hire a licensed reserve specialist.
Fred says he and his neighbors deserve to know what's coming so they can prepare to pony up the money or find somewhere new to live. In Palm Beach County, I'm Mike Magnoli, CBS 12 News.